Hi everyone, this is Paris Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop, and in this video I asked my Lenormand and Cartomancy group on Facebook if they wanted to ask me any questions about my job and the fortune telling industry. So I put up a post in the group. Hi Lenormand people, I'm going to make a question and answer video. You can ask me anything you want to know about Lenormand cards or fortune telling or psychic industry or about reading cards for the public. So I've been a professional fortune teller now since 1990, and this is my only job, and I have a shop. My current shop is on Crown Street in Sydney, where I do readings every day. And I use a combination of tarot, Lenormand, astrology and palmistry, as well as other types of fortune telling and psychic work. Okay, so now for the questions from the Lenormand and Cartomancy group. First question is from Leteo. What does the fish usually mean in a love question? Well, it depends on what the question is about. If the person is asking, will they meet someone new, the fish would mean plenty of fish. They need to get out there and mingle and meet new people. If they're asking about a particular relationship that they're already in, it could mean there's fertility there. There could be money issues there, for good or bad, depends what the other cards are. Sometimes it just means abundance and plenty. So it's a good card in general. Sometimes the fish card could also represent a man because there is a king insert in the card. We have another question about the fish. Have you ever seen where the fish represents plumbing problems? Yes, sometimes the fish card could represent water. It could represent fluids, liquids. If it's with a negative card, say fish cross or fish coffin, it could represent there are water problems. If you're asking about a house, say. I've seen the snake card as well be about pipes and plumbing. So yes, sometimes the cards can be very literal, and that would also require you to use your intuition when you're with your client. Okay, we have another question. What's the biggest myth you have to dispel when your clients come for a reading? So I think the biggest myth is that I'm going to tell them that they're going to die. That's probably the biggest one. Other ones would be that a lot of people come to my shop thinking that my shop is somehow a joke or not real or a novelty. And they think that I'm going to tell them very basic or general things, and they're going to have a bit of a giggle and a bit of a laugh. But what usually happens is they get a bit of a rude awakening, and they often have to face some harsh truths about themselves. So I think the biggest myth would be that fortune telling is not real. And when they come and see me, they realize that I am for real. That's the biggest myth. This could also be a self-defense mechanism. People pretending that fortune telling isn't real and they don't believe in it could be a way for them just to feel protected from any bad news. So it's almost like a self-defense mechanism. For example, one time I was on a TV show, and the TV host said that she didn't believe in fortune telling and fortune tellers. And I said to her that I'll be happy to do her a reading live on air. And then she said no because she was scared. Another myth that I have to dispel often is that a fortune teller can be a man. In Sydney, a lot of people walk past my shop, and sometimes I'm inside and I can hear them saying, I wonder if she's in there, or I wonder if she's available. I even have a big photo of myself on my front window, and people still see the photo and assume that the fortune teller is a woman. So that's another myth that I have to dispel often, that a fortune teller does not necessarily have to be a woman. Okay, we have another question from Sheila. Are the pictures ever used on the Lenormand? Lenormand is not a pictorial system. However, the pictures do have an influence on me because I'm an artist and I'm very visual, and the pictures, whatever cards I'm using, whether they are tarot or gypsy cards, the pictures do have an influence on my interpretation. However, with Lenormand, it's important when you're beginning to learn the cards to not focus on the pictures, to learn the meanings of the cards first. And then later on, you can use your intuition once you know the meanings. Lenormand is a system where you have to learn the meanings first, and then your cards and your intuition can play with the system once you've learned it. I also recommend cards that have simple artistic designs, where they have the clear insert, the clear number, and the clear image. These cards that are very uncluttered are usually best for doing the grand tableau. When the cards are too cluttered or too arty and you can't see the image very clearly, that often creates confusion. Clean, simple, and clear cards are the best for Lenormand. We have another question. Gypsiana de Bitch. Do you recommend people do general readings with Lenormand cards? No, I don't recommend that. I find Lenormand is very specific and it's very focused type of system, and general readings don't often go very well. Each card has a slightly different meaning when it has a context. So for example, the fox, when someone's asking about work or career, the fox can be a good card because it could mean you're smart and savvy. But if they're asking about love and relationship, it could be a bad card because it represents cheating and deception. So the context is decisive in Lenormand. So when the person is asking a general reading, there's no clear context, and therefore it's hard to tell whether the cards are talking about their career or their love life or their money or family or whatever the question or context should be. Another question. Crystal, what is the best to learn first, tarot or Lenormand? Well, I started off with tarot first many years ago. It was the first thing that I connected to and I fell in love with. Then after tarot, I studied astrology, and then I did that for about 3 years. I went to astrology school, and then after I did astrology, I studied palmistry. I did that for about 2 or 3 years as well. Then after palmistry, I studied numerology and other forms of divination and different types of things. And then Lenormand as well came along in that time period. I think it doesn't really matter what system you start with first, but I think it's important not to mix and mingle and mash up the systems until you've learned them well. I can do now readings that have got a bit of astrology in them, a bit of palmistry, a bit of tarot, maybe a bit of Lenormand, but I keep all the systems clean and separate from each other. I don't mix them together. So it doesn't really matter where you start, as long as you do each system justice, learn each system well, and then once you've learned one system, you're ready for the next system. It's a bit like learning a language. Learn one language first, and then you learn the second language, and then the third. You don't want to be mixing up all your languages at the same time. Every journey starts off with the first step. Enjoy the journey, do each step as it comes to you, learn each system well, try not to rush things, and avoid trying to do too many at once. Just do one at a time, get comfortable with it, and get good at it, and then move on to the next one. When I first began my journey, I practiced on everyone I knew, my friends, my workmates, my study friends, family and friends, and I got a lot of feedback. And once I started getting good feedback, then I knew that I was getting good at each system as I went. Okay, I'll leave this video here so it doesn't get too long. You can ask me any questions in the comments of this video or on the Facebook pages. This is Paris Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop.